Dave and Joe, episode 31, DNA Podcasts.
I turned my chair this way. I think it's better.
Okay. Speaking for Mike Herrera, our great director, producer, engineer. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I just been pissed off and frustrated because, we talk about this a lot, and coaches really give up so much of their time for so little back, right? It's really like for us, it's like the gift that keeps on giving is when you're coaching and kids are getting better. But what do you do when you're in a culture where kids don't show up or kids don't want to play or they don't appreciate the fact that all of your spare time goes to them? Everything that I do in my spare time goes to coaching these kids. Practice goes from 2 hours to 3.5 really fast, just like that, because, I get caught up coaching. But
And tell the audience the sacrifice you make, what time you get off work.
yeah, so I get out, I go 8 to 4, and right from work I fly to baseball, and it's from baseball till whenever that ends, to eating something for dinner, to going back to bed, and then doing it all over again. And, even like my fitness routine has to take place in the morning because every day, I go straight from work, straight to baseball, eat something, and go back to bed.
And when's your workout? 5 o'clock in the morning?
5 a.m. with Mike.
So our director, engineer, and producer with the co-host, they start their day out at 5 in the morning. And that is a sacrifice. And it needs to be translated to the kids as the right work habits and the right way to go about doing things, not showing up to practice when you want to, changing the culture. If you've said it many times before, the background of their high school, if I may talk about it, there's a lot of poor kids there, and several of them want to get better. Several of them want to make the team better and make it a highly successful and competitive program. Others drift back into the world of just not wanting to do anything.
Just nonsense. Just
do it when they want to.
Just piss poor excuses. Just lack of toughness. Just lack of understanding what commitment is.
You would say more than excuses, it's just lying about what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be here or you're not. It's never really 1 foot in or 1 foot out when you join a team.
Yeah, we never talk about, and we're in Chicago, and we never talk about the lesser high schools or the poorer high schools. We always talk about, hey, all these schools are doing a great job for having so little, the higher profile high schools of the conference. We never talk about high schools like yours, high schools even poorer than yours, that you have to go through excuses and lying. And where is the desire to play? And there's nobody in the household telling you, hey, you make a commitment, you go out there and play. They just do what they want. There's no guidance, there's no leadership. And how do you get that?
Yeah.
And you're around it. I don't have the answers to that. I mean, when we first started out at my high school, the last high school I've coached at, the one I'm at now, there was a lot of poor kids. And it was, if you show them that you care about them as well as them as an athlete, then you might be able to get through them, but it's no guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
We lost as many athletes as we saved.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's tough. I would say I probably have like a solid 6 to 8 guys that want to play and want to show up all the time that don't give me some bullshit excuse. And let me just clarify, especially, for any parents that ever, catch up on this scene right here. There's very little excuses to miss baseball. And just speaking from my own experience, if I had a family party, I went to that family party late. If I missed baseball for an event or a family event, I paid a consequence for missing that, You know, it was never just like a free ride. You're a part of a team. At the end of the day, you make a choice, but there's always going to be a right choice and a wrong choice when it comes to being on a team. If you want to not be here for spring break, anything like that, it's a choice. And whether the parent makes you, whether you're making your kid miss or the kid chooses to miss, it doesn't matter. It's just a part of being a responsibility and learning life lessons as you grow up, because you can't just leave work when you want to. You can't just say, my mom wants me to leave work today, I can't come in. You know, it's part of, taking responsibility and ownership for your actions. And that's one thing that I struggle with, where these kids say, oh, I have to go to this, I have to go to that. And I say, do you really have to go to this? Because I can't tell you how many times I missed a family party or went late. Because this is what I told them after all of this nonsense went down. I said, here's when you can't come to practice. You're sick, your little siblings are sick, you can't take care of them, there's a death in the family, something's going on. But a party is more important than baseball. I'm not sure about it. It's got to be a special circumstance, and you should be able to come talk to me.
And don't several
like
of your kids also work?
Yeah. And there's certain situations there where I understand. And so they come talk to me and I understand. But a birthday party is not good enough for me.
Yeah, because as far as work goes, kids know they're going to play in the spring, and they work. The responsible kids work around that schedule.
Yeah, and that's another thing I told them.
They work on Sundays.
You know that baseball is going to start, and you're filled up till 6:37 on most days.
It's a 4-month commitment.
Yeah, if you want a different schedule, find a late night weekend. Find a 7 to 10.
And again, with your situation, you're not going to be able to have an off-season program, especially with a lot of poor kids that have to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to just, from March 1st to June 1st, you're mine.
Yeah.
So that's April, May, June. That's 3 months. And I've seen your summer program. Kids don't play in the summer.
No.
No, I mean, some of them do, but they usually come out and work out with you, or they work out with somebody else, but there's not enough guys to have a team. And this is not only with your school, but with several of the poorer and less involved schools throughout the city of Chicago. And what you just said about, commitments like parties. When I went to the high school you went to, well, I can't come to practice today. Why? Since it's my birthday. What?
Yeah, that's
what?
That's absolutely insane. And it comes down to you don't have to come to practice today. You get to come to practice.
I didn't know there was a holiday of your birthday.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know we were all celebrating your birthday today.
Right. So I had to make a rule because, again, I know your parents, I know your family, and they're just like my family. They delayed until after my games, a birthday party or a family party or someplace you had to go out to dinner. I remember I pitched a no-hitter when I was 12 years old, and my dad delayed what he had planned until after my Little League game. But if it was according to the rules of today, I would have had to go at the time I pitched.
Mm-hmm.
So I never would experience that, and it would have been, it would have been a loss for sure. And the other thing about spring vacation, and when I first started coaching, guys would take off. So we would have, and this was at a high-profile Catholic school, and I said, okay, this is the way you're going to do it. You guys take off basketball during winter break when you play in a winter tournament? No. I said, well, we play 7 or 8 games during spring break. So here's the rule. You're going to get suspended for 1 game for every day you miss. And we had 1 guy do it. And after that. And he was a key part of one team. He was actually Sean and Zach's teammate. And he went to Acapulco. Well, he was suspended for 7 games. And then he came back and rushed his arm and hurt his arm. And ended up hitting 158 his senior year. But he had one key game where he knocked in the winning run. Is that all you get out of your senior year because you were selfish enough to take 7 days off?
Mhm.
That's the only incident.
And it's really not fair to the rest of the kids.
And
that's the shit that I can't wrap my head around.
And Sean and Zach and others, they still hold it against them.
Mhm.
I mean, they're not close because of that. Because you made a commitment to the team, and you just decide because you want to go and drink and you want to go and try to chase women. Okay, which he wanted to do when he was 18 years old. You can't do that your whole life, right? You have to do it during the middle of your last time that you ever played baseball. You have to do it then because everybody else is doing it, and you're not a leader, you're a follower.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened, and those guys really still hold it against him.
Yeah.
Because he was a lefty, key part of the pitching staff. You know what he's doing now? He's selling used cars, and I think he's a manager now. Great guy, but made a mistake. And he admitted he made a mistake, but some guys still hold it against him.
Yeah. And it's just shitty because, I mean, like I'm telling you about last week, right? I got 5 guys coming to practice.
Yeah, you told me. Tell the audience.
4 or 5 kids showing up to practice on spring break when, I mean, even one of my best friends downstairs, we're on the same team, played for you. We couldn't wait for spring break. We couldn't wait to the fact that we didn't have class, that we would just got to wake up, grab some breakfast, and drive to 111 to play whatever team we were playing that day.
Absolutely.
And it was the best because we just had to play baseball.
Right.
I got to play. It wasn't that I had to play. It wasn't that I needed some excuse to get out of it on spring break. That's what I looked forward to. Even if it was my birthday, I would love to play on my birthday. Who cares? It's the best.
It's the best.
And just shit like that. Just, when you got 4 or 5 kids coming every single day, and they're working their ass off, and I'm helping them get better. They're actively getting better, but it takes 9 guys in a lineup.
Well,
to
the question is, how do you remedy it? Do you have an answer for that? Because you have to completely change the culture, and you have a job, and you have a life. And if they're not going to be able to commit, why should you commit? So we lose great coaches because of that. They get fed up, they leave. And do you really blame them? You know what they do? They work 6 weekends in the summer and make triple the pay that you're making now. I mean, not only that, I'm guessing what you make. They make 5 times what you make. Let's just say you got a stipend, okay? Your stipend is, in the public league, is messed up. They don't even allow you to have an assistant. It's like varsity head coach, frost-off head coach, and if you have a freshman team, freshman head coach, you're not allowed to have an assistant, even though it's in the bylaws that you're supposed to, the teachers union bylaws. But it's not a revenue sport, okay? Football and basketball revenue sports. So this is not. So they don't care. So you can't pay an assistant, which is a travesty. So let's just say you were getting $2,000 or $1,600, whatever. I know guys that make $10,000 to $15,000 working 6 weekends and using the players that we work with every single day. So they're getting the fruits of our labor, and they're making way more money. Why would anybody want to coach in high school when you get paid little and you have to be there every day, when you could work 6 weekends out of the year and make $10,000 to $15,000? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And that's why you lose all these coaches. Only the real coaches that know, I'm going to learn the ABCs, the basics, and I'm going to pay my dues, and I'm going to go to practice every single day to learn how to run a program, rather than just be a whore and take the money every weekend. And that's what makes really good coaches.
Yep. Yeah, I feel bad too for the kids that are showing up every day and they want to win, but we both know that it takes you still got to have 9 guys in the lineup, so they all have to be able to string together hits or good at bats to get runs. So they don't want to show up every day just to lose.
No. And I think you have I think you have the bones of a good team. Maybe skeletal, but it needs some skin. But you have a catcher, which is always key, and you have 3 good pitchers. I've seen 3 good pitchers. Your infield defense is much improved, and Your outfield defense is better, but you have no depth,
Yeah, no commitment.
no
And
commitment.
that's where it comes into play too.
You might have 12 players on the varsity that are really varsity players, and then the other guys, they show up when they want to, and they try when they want to because it's not important for them, not important enough. And how do you change that mentality? How do you?
I think this is something interesting that you brought up a few minutes ago, though, when you said, when I was younger, my dad would postpone things to when I was done. And I would just think of it as this. If I had a kid right now and he was playing and he said, can I miss this game to go to this? I would say, did you sign up for baseball? I would say, did you choose to play baseball? When he says yes, I would say that you go to baseball because that's what you committed to first.
Not only my mom said that, my dad said that, but my mom said it too. You make a commitment and you go to that first and we'll work around it.
And
they were trying to teach me the value of making a commitment.
Exactly. And now what you're saying, though, is it really does seem a lot more like the opposite now, where it's like, whatever the parents have going on, you guys are putting that ahead and allowing it to be more of a priority versus teaching your kid the value of a commitment. Because
so you're saying it's generational.
I think this is what we might be seeing happen.
Okay.
Not that it's okay, because even when we're telling kids that this isn't acceptable, they need to go back and have this talk with the parents and help them understand how much this means to them. So I think it's a two-way street for sure, but I think we're seeing a shift in general of like, this, you're allowed to miss this. Like, you're entitled to play baseball. You're not. No, nobody is. You have to earn your right to play. So it's not okay to miss. It's what's okay is to be committed to something and see it through. Whether it was baseball or dance class or whatever the hell it is, you should see that through if that's what you committed to. And if you're going to join the baseball team and take up someone's valuable time, you should appreciate and respect that. And that's what I think a lot of kids across the board, regardless of the program, don't fully understand. Some better than others, but across the board in today, especially with a lot of the travel ball shit that we see, where they show up as in like, I expect to play today.
That's a really bad look. That's a really bad look. Just kids show with their big bags.
I mean, how much more do you deal with parents now compared to prior years?
We were just talking about that today.
If you compared the last 5 years compared to the last 20.
You have to make that, again, you're trying to organize practice, you're trying to make schedules, run games, you talk to incoming freshmen, and you have to talk to parents. It's like now it's a priority. You have to be able to make them understand what the program is about, not let them interfere with everyday baseball decisions, and make them understand we're doing what's best for their kids. And they'll never, if their kid isn't playing, they'll never go along with that. Mm-hmm. Like never. They'll never give a dime, which is important in city baseball since we have no budget.
Yeah.
So everything that we get, we have to raise. So that's a priority. You have to talk to parents and say, we're trying to make boys into men, men, adults, men, whatever you want to call them. We're trying to, baseball is life term, that what you learn out of baseball is a metaphor for life. Well, which all of it is true. You have to learn how to play well with others.
That's the thing, though, with the toughness versus the softness bullshit. Kids are growing up these days where it's just a game. It's not that important. But like, do you say that about your classwork or your school or anything that you're doing? Because if you're doing it, you should do it to the best of your ability. It's not that it's just a baseball game. It's just that you dedicate your time to this every day. So show up and give it 100% effort. I would expect you to do that if you were playing the goddamn trumpet, the flute, a math class, or whatever. If you show up for it, do it as best as you can. It's not that it's just a baseball game you can miss today.
Right.
It's because if you can't go through
the rest of your life.
You can't go through life.
It's a voluntary activity. And once you commit to that, it's the baseball classroom. Okay? If you miss homework like you do in math, you're going to fail. That's the way it has to be presented. I mean, this is like, it's not just like throw the ball out there and schedule 14 games a year. We play 35 games. So, and we have a lot of practices. I have to give kids off now because they're so overused with their travel coaches that I have to go beyond that too. And you do too. So we don't do anything different than a lot of people, but I have to find out how much is this kid being used? Is he being used right? And go on accordingly. Yeah. And it's a pain. It's not like, hey, the high school baseball team, the high school basketball team is everything because there was nothing else. So we had their undivided attention when kids did commit. Now it's generational. They're spaced out with it. Their AAU basketball teams and their travel baseball teams. And it stinks because those guys that run those programs don't give a shit about the kids. If this kid's injured, I'll go to another high school and get another one. They get their pick of everybody. We got our high school kids. So it's unfair, but it's the way it is.
Yeah.
And, hey, travel baseball and AAU basketball are businesses, and they make a lot more money than we do. But, again, given my age, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to do as much as I can for as many kids that I can until I'm ready to retire, which is soon.
You've been saying that since I was playing.
Well, it gets more and more frustrating. We have a good group this year, but who knows beyond that because I don't know. I'm really having a tough time dealing with parents as much as I try to, as much I make it a priority. It's still a pain in the ass. Yeah. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
They should be.
I mean, that's the thing that should be removed from the game the most. Just let your kids play. You got to trust that the coach knows what he's doing. Yeah, if he's not in the game.
We got a couple seniors that never play, never play. Okay, but I think we did them a favor by letting them on a team and making a team. They would have gotten cut by anybody who was a hard ass, But I still have a soft side, and I said, okay, I think it's really important for the kid to be on a team so he can brag about it, and they're involved every day in practice. Do you think the parents have said anything about that other than the fact that I think you should be playing over this guy and that guy and this guy? No, they shouldn't. I'm there every day, and I'm a professional, and I know who's good and who's not.
Yeah.
And just because they're seniors doesn't mean they're going to get a chance to play. If their talent level remains the same, they're not going to play. Now, do they want to be supportive teammates? Do they want to be like, be a bench mob or, during inter-squad games, compete? That's good, but they do not have varsity talent, but they're on the varsity. And I think it's, something to be proud of for, when they have kids. But the parents don't see it that way.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too. Like, we talked about that before. It's just good in general. The kid understands his role, so they're still choosing to play. So they see it as a good thing, too, obviously. Yeah. Nobody just does things. They have a reason. The kid's on the team. He wants to be on the team.
Yeah. We had a kid. We have a couple kids in basketball, and the way our head coach ran basketball practice, they scrimmage a lot. So that's fun. Kids want to play. Now, when there's games, these kids would never play. But they competed in practice. But a couple kids were too short, maybe too slow, and the parents thought they should be playing. And they gave our head coach a really hard time. Why isn't he playing? Well, the starters were way better than these guys. And maybe could they got a couple minutes against inferior teams? I would say yes, but we were an inferior team. We were 10-15 or 11-16 or something. We weren't very good. We weren't untalented. We're just young, and we just didn't know how to win. We didn't know how to play together. It was a my turn offense, lackluster, terrible rebounding, lackluster defense, inconsistent defense. So, but these parents only see their kid, and I want a 5'5" kid playing ahead of a 6'1" kid. The 6'1" kid could shoot better, run better, was quicker, and a better rebounder.
Better player. You can't argue with that.
But they don't see it.
Yeah.
Why isn't he playing? He's a senior. it doesn't give him a right to play.
And
You have to earn. It's not owed. Earn it.
you said something earlier that was like standouts to me because it's something that I've been dealing with. Though it's so obvious when kids don't show up or don't put in the work that they don't improve. You said about the seniors. That doesn't mean they're going to play if they haven't gotten better. If their talent stays the same, right? And it's very obvious to me the kids that are improving, the kids that don't. And there are certain kids that don't come to practice and they show up and they don't get better.
Well, you made a point. You said, I know who worked at it in the off season. You just said that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the seniors that didn't work in the off season, yet their families wanted them to play. I know that 2 or 3 of the kids didn't do anything in the off season. They might have lifted some weights, but you think they went to a hitting cage?
Yeah. You always know who's getting better.
Do you think
it's very obvious when they take the field.
Right. Do you think they strengthened up so their arm would get stronger? Do you think they worked on their fielding technique, which you can find some place to get ground balls? I mean, you can use your imagination and resourcefulness to get extra work in if you just wanted to. And they didn't do it. Okay, they just go on a team and they expect to play, or their parents expect them to play because they're seniors. No, no, they didn't work at it. Now, hey, we're practice every day. I'll get naturally better. Well, other kids worked the whole off season, and now when they're working day to day, they're getting way better because they also worked in the off season.
Oh, yeah. I can't even. People are going to be really surprised when they see this kid on my team in the game because he shows up and he never played baseball before. And this is a different kid, not the
left fielder.
No, this is a different kid. I mean, he couldn't touch the baseball. He would swing and miss every single time. He can't throw the ball properly. He couldn't catch the ball.
Now what?
Now he's making contact with the ball. He's fast. He has athletic ability, and he's catching the ball in the outfield. I just need to help.
Not to sit where you play.
This is a different guy.
Center field?
I'm going to probably put him in right field. I mean, people are going to be surprised, and they're not going to understand why he's in the game. Because he's the only one that's made improvements like this.
And has he showed up every day?
Yeah. And now, is he a good player? No, not yet.
But will he be?
But he will be, yeah. Can he throw the ball well? Not at all, because he's never thrown a baseball before. He has no idea what the proper form is. He doesn't understand how to use his legs, but he's getting better. And every day he shows up, he makes more and more progress every single day. And he does the little shit that I tell them they should be doing on their own, because we both know that practice isn't enough for kids to get enough work in.
That's why we coach.
We teach them, and then you have to go do it on your own. You just have to. There's not enough time. And this kid, this kid is the one reason where I'm like, this is why I like to do this shit, because the jump is like this. And you would think that he wouldn't make that jump compared to other kids on the team, but he shows up and he tries to take in what I'm telling him.
That's why you do it.
Yeah.
And this is why this kid, we were talking off camera about this kid that just has been really good. He lives locally and basically was ignored throughout his 7th and 8th grade. Comes from a dysfunctional family situation, and now after 4 years, he's finally getting it. And he's been a dominant pitcher the last 2 weeks, and he had a key hit yesterday to win a game when we were down 4 runs. He hit a monster shot that knocked in 2 runs, and it couldn't happen to a nicer kid yet. Some of our staff looks down on him because he just didn't get it, and they ran out of patience. But they're the assistants. I saw something in the kid. I think I'm a pretty good judge of talent. I think that's what I learned over 32 years of coaching. And I saw something, and plus the kid is a great teammate, and he never wants to lose. And he wants to be the best he can be, not only in baseball, but in math, which he's going to be an engineer, in English, in history. He always asks questions. And it might irritate a lot of people, but that's why we coach. Mm-hmm. Because now you're seeing the fruits of your labor as coaches. And some kids get it right away. They can start as freshmen and just get better and better and end up playing in college. It took this kid time, and he doesn't have a father that's around. So the team is his anchor, not only in baseball but in basketball. I have another great story for you, and I guess we played last Friday, and I had this kid pitch in the JV game following our 3-hour and 20-minute varsity game. and we were supposed to play doubleheader, and everybody was tired. Said, just let's play a JV game. Fine. So every kid gets a play for each substitution. So I have this kid throw in the 4th inning after I had another kid throw 3 innings. What the amazing part about this kid was, at half an hour before, I found out the kid was autistic.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it. He was a basketball manager, practiced every day, and he's a really, really bright kid, asks a lot of questions, very analytical, no clue. He's from the South Side, and he's an Asian kid, just a really good kid. And he wanted to learn about pitching. So we gave him, it's the first time I had a chance when the team went to Florida. Myself and Sean, one of my assistants, gave him a couple of side sessions. So I said, go in and pitch. After I found out he was autistic, but I told him he was going to pitch anyway. So I said, okay. I didn't know he was autistic, and I told him to pitch. Now we're going to see what happens. And he struck out the side. And it was like one of the greatest moments of our program. Not only did the team mob him after the performance, bottom of the 4th inning was a 5-inning game. The umpire shook his hand and hugged him. Our whole staff hugged him. It was a great moment. Mm-hmm. The kid tried so hard he bit through his lip, and he was bleeding all over the place. Mm-hmm. But I think that was one of the highlights of his high school life, and probably his life in general. And I'm going to give him another shot, and it was just totally gratifying to see what joy he had in his eyes.
Mm-hmm. That's
why we coach.
Exactly. Yeah. Pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. What else you got?
That's it. I got nothing.
Well, we'll have plenty. It's been really cold here in Chicago.
It's terrible.
And the next couple weeks, the conference season is going to start for both of us. But it might not start because it's going to be terrible weather. But
I think the end of next week, Mike, right?
Yeah, the following week, actually.
So there's going to be a lot of rainouts, a lot of indoor practices, a lot of grousing, a lot of kids being out of rhythm because in baseball, you get in a rhythm when you practice every day, and we're going to be out of rhythm, so it's up to the coaches to make sure they stay in a rhythm. So that's our challenge for the next couple of weeks. We'll probably come back to you and talk about it. So until next time, hopefully there's no snow. Dave and Joe and Mike signing off.